Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are embarking on a massive, literally multi-billion-dollar thought experiment. We're traveling back about 400 years to look at a 17th century architectural marvel, the Taj Mahal. But, we aren't just here for a dry history lesson. We're actually putting on our hard hats to draft a grand, completely hypothetical blueprint. The big question? What would it actually take to build this magnificent structure today?
Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine you're walking into a boardroom to pitch this as a high-stakes, modern mega-project. You've got all of today's advanced technology, the heavy machinery, the cutting-edge structural engineering right at your fingertips. Honestly, it sounds like it should be an absolute breeze compared to the 1600s, right? Well, as we're about to see, the reality of replicating this specific masterpiece is infinitely more challenging and outrageously more expensive than you might think.
All right, let's kick things off with Phase 1, the ultimate engineering challenge. Now, every mega project starts from the ground up, obviously, and here is our very first massive hurdle. The Taj Mahal was actually built right on the muddy, swampy banks of the Yamuna River. Any normal heavy building, it would just sink right into the mud. Back in 1632, those Mughal engineers brilliantly dug deep wells into the mud and filled them with ebony and mahogany logs. And here's the crazy part. Those specific woods actually absorb water and harden into steel-like pillars over time. It's genius. But today, modern building codes absolutely would not allow that. Instead, our modern blueprint requires heavy drilling machines to bore 600 massive steel piles, each plunging 150 feet deep, straight down to bedrock. And then we have to fill them all with waterproof concrete.
And it really doesn't stop there. Because once those 600 pillars are finally set, we have to cap them just to create a stable platform, and that requires pouring a massive 5-meter-thick concrete slab across the entire 3-acre construction zone. Just to put that sheer volume into perspective for you, you would literally need to line up more than 7,500 heavy concrete mixer trucks just to pour this single foundation slab. I really hope you factored a massive traffic jam into your project timeline.
So let's take a look at our first running tally here. Setting up a cofferdam, which is basically a temporary watertight enclosure just to hold the river back. That costs a cool $20 million. Drilling and filling all those steel piles, another $100 million. And that massive concrete platform adds $130 million. So that brings Phase 1 to $250 million. We have already spent $250 million, and guys, we haven't even laid a single piece of white marble above ground yet.
Moving right along, we hit Phase 2, the billion-dollar marble frame.
Assuming everything goes perfectly, that foundation alone probably takes 2 years. Now, let's move to the superstructure. When you look at the Taj Mahal, it just looks like a solid mountain of carved white marble, right? But the monument is actually harboring a massive secret beneath that glowing exterior. The core walls are actually made of red brick and lime mortar. The breathtaking white marble is strictly just an outer casing. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't they just build the whole thing out of solid marble? Well, it's incredible foresight, honestly. A solid marble brick weighs about 5.5 kilograms, compared to just 3 kilograms for a red brick. If the Mughal engineers had used solid marble, the entire structure would be 83% heavier. And that extreme weight, it would have completely crushed that brilliant wooden foundation we literally just talked about.
Okay, so we build a modern, reinforced concrete and steel frame. Easy enough. But now we need the marble itself. And not just any marble. It has to be the exact, highly limited Makrana marble from Rajasthan, which is about 300 kilometers away. Historically, they used a massive fleet of 1,000 elephants, thousands of ox carts, and built a 9-kilometer mud ramp just to haul the stones up the structure. Today, it's an absolute logistical nightmare. We would need to lease all 400 of the remaining deep Makrana mines to extract the required 70,000 tons of A-grade marble within, say, a 5-year timeline. We'd have to run 250 heavy-duty diamond wire saws day and night. And to actually get it to Agra, we'd need a continuous convoy of 1,100 trucks, with one pulling up to the site every 15 minutes for 8 straight months.
Now, what's really interesting about this next stat is just how mind-boggling the energy requirement is. Running 250 diamond saws 24/7 for 5 years would consume 864,000 megawatt-hours of electricity. To put that into perspective, that is the exact same amount of power that the entire country of the Maldives consumes in a whole year, just to cut our stone. It's absolutely wild.
All right, let's look at the receipt for Phase 2. The concrete frame is $150 million.
the leases, and extracting the marble. And keep in mind, we have to account for a massive 70% waste factor when cutting it. That's $550 million. The diamond saws and that ridiculous electricity bill come to $300 million, plus $80 million just for the trucking logistics. So that is a staggering $1.08 billion just for the frame and the raw stone. If we add that to our foundation, our running total is already well over $1.3 billion.
Next up is Phase 3, the art of pietra dura.
So, we have our structure, and we have our giant blank marble canvas. Let's pivot away from the heavy engineering for a second and look at the intricate artistic details that actually give this monument its soul. You've likely seen those vibrant, colorful floral patterns on the Taj Mahal's walls. Well, those aren't painted on. They are created using an ancient, incredibly difficult art form called pietra dura, or parchinkari. It basically involves carving a template just a few millimeters deep into the white marble and then painstakingly shaping and fitting semi-precious stones into those grooves. And they have to fit so perfectly that there is not even a hair's breadth of space between them. The Mughals actually scoured India, Persia, and Central Asia to bring in thousands of master artists just to achieve this effect.
Now you might be thinking, hey, we have laser cutters and digital 3D printers today, this should be super easy. But while a machine can certainly cut a straight edge, no modern technology can match the precision, the curvature, and the natural blending of stone veins that a highly trained human eye provides. It's just a fact. To get that authentic finish today, we would literally have to scour the globe to find and hire 5,000 master artisans to do the final fitting and polishing entirely by hand.
And as you can guess, sourcing, housing, and paying 5,000 highly specialized global artists to work meticulously for 5 straight years, plus setting up all the initial laser cutting stuff, that adds another massive line item to our budget. This artistry bill on its own comes out to roughly $220 million. All right, moving on to Phase 4, the minaret optical illusion.
So now let's move out to the perimeter to construct those 4 iconic 43-meter-tall towers. And this uncovers a truly brilliant 17th century secret. When you look at the Taj Mahal, the minarets appear to stand perfectly straight at 90 degrees, right? But that is actually an illusion. The builders intentionally designed them with a subtle 0.5-degree outward tilt. Why? Well, 2 brilliant reasons. First off, earthquake safety. If a massive quake hits, that slight outward lean ensures the heavy towers fall away from the main dome, completely protecting the central tomb. And second, human eyes are really easily tricked. If the towers were actually perfectly straight, a geometrical optical illusion would make them appear as if they were leaning inwards toward the dome. So by tilting them slightly out, the architects perfectly satisfied the human eye. Pretty clever, huh?
And that brings us to our final section, Phase 5, the final billion-dollar bill.
So, the crucial point is, we have our foundation, our marble, our master artisans, and our carefully leaning minarets. Let's walk through this final receipt together. The heavy foundation takes $250 million. The frame, the diamond cutting, and the Macarana marble, that costs a staggering $1.08 billion. The incredible human touch of pietra dura adds $220 million. And constructing the carefully tilted minarets adds roughly another $100,000. So that brings our total structure cost to roughly $1.6 billion. And keep in mind, this price tag doesn't even include purchasing the 42 acres of prime real estate. Nor does it cover the extensive gardens, the reflection pools, or the fountains. If we added all of that into the mix, we would easily push well past the $2 billion mark.
Now, back in the 17th century, the Mughal Empire was literally the richest empire on the planet. And according to official records, Emperor Shah Jahan poured so much wealth into this project that it consumed a staggering 15% of the total annual income of his entire empire.
Which really just leaves us with this incredible question to ponder. Would any modern nation today voluntarily spend 15% of its entire national income on a project with absolutely zero financial return? Just to build a monument of love? The answer is almost certainly no. Our explainer today shows that while we technically could rebuild a Taj Mahal with modern tools and billions of dollars, the sheer passion, the obsession, and the devastating financial sacrifice required mean that a masterpiece like this could truly only be built once. Thank you so much for exploring this incredible blueprint with me. And I encourage you to keep questioning how the wonders of the past measure up to the technologies of today.